I think on average, drive-thrus are fun. You can have one of two drive-through experiences. You can have very chill drive-through experience where you're not in a rush, there's nothing you're trying to get to. You're just in there and you're like, I'm just gonna get my food, and then there's no additional haste that my day has. I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna arrive at wherever I'm gonna go. Maybe I'll just eat it in the parking lot. Maybe I'm actually gonna go to a second location. I'm gonna go to a second location so I can murder this food. Or maybe, I'll eat it on the way. I don't really do that. I don't know how people do it when they like are driving and then they're eating at the same time. I don't know if it's because I'm a slow eater. Maybe I like to enjoy my food. Maybe I'm not a good one-handed person. Like I can eat food with one hand. I can drive with one hand if that's all I'm doing. If I'm trying to multitask and like drive with one hand and then eat with the other, I don't know if I can do it. And that's also probably because I'm not ambidextrous, right? Or amphibious, whatever they call it, am I right? Maybe because I'm not ambivalent. One of those words, pick one. It's one of those. Or there's the other drive-through experience, right? You're in a hurry. You're like, come on, get my food. I thought this was fast food, not slow food. It's like, you think that's funny? You think that's interesting, that thing you just said? Yeah, there's people that just, they're trying to push through, they start riding up against people in front of them like that's going to make the place go faster. And that's not an enjoyable experience. But the first one's very enjoyable. So that's why I say, on average, a drive-through is an enjoyable experience. I think if you take all the experiences, you add them up, divide by two, it's nice. But then there's little things that can happen during a drive-through experience that can change it. That was a very like broad stroke generalization I made, right? On average, they're good. There's good and bad. It's very binary, right? Very engineer of me, some might say. But then once you get down to the nitty and gritty and you actually look at certain interactions, there is like weirdness that happens, right? Oddities, they call them sometimes. And one of those happened to me recently. I went to Taco Bell and I gave my order like I do. I think it was a grilled cheese burrito, a chicken quesadilla, and 2 Cinnabon Delights. When I told my friend this, he said I committed an offense because I didn't get a Baja Blast. But if I think back on it, I don't think I've ever ordered a Baja Blast. Apparently that's a staple. This friend of mine, he told me, oh Garv, every time I go to Taco Bell, I get blasted. I was like, well, I don't think I know the people that well enough. He was like, what do you mean? I was like, what do you mean? I think we're talking about two different things here. But I didn't get a Baja Blast. That's not a thing I do. That's not my staple. I'm more of an Office Max guy myself, not Staples. Yeah, no. Office Depot actually is my place. They've shut them all down. More of a Circuit City guy. I'm done. This is a stupid joke. It's not even a joke, because those have to be funny. But my staple when I go to Taco Bell is a Cinnamon Delight. The 2-pack. They come in a 2-pack, and I want to say a 10-pack. But I get the 2-pack because I'm a one person. And when I gave each of these line items to the person, you get up there, it's either a robot or the real person. And they always ask, are you going to use the app today? Or something like that. I don't know. They say some message. If they haven't, I don't know if Taco Bell has an app. Some places have apps. But I went up there and they said, order when you're ready. So I say, all right, I'm ready. No response. So I just start because, they laid out the rules. I know the rules. I'll follow the rules now. It's up to me. The ball's in my court. So I say 1 grilled cheese burrito. Still silence. I kind of wait. I'm like, oh, I guess I just keep going. All right, 1 chicken enchilada, or quesadilla, my bad. And the 2-pack of the Cinnamon Delights. And then, a bunch of mild sauce. I can handle my spice. I just like the texture of mild sauce because there's no texture. Once you get into the higher sauces, they put little chunks in them. I don't like it. Little chunks like pepper or whatnot. I don't know. It's not good. So I just do mild. Not because of the level of spice, just because of the texture of it. And then they said, okay, yeah, pull up to the first window. And I was like, that was weird. That that felt wrong. Because I was like, why did that feel weird? It's because they didn't give me feedback. There was no two-way communication. Usually when you say an item, they say, okay. Usually when you say the first item, they're like, is that it? I'm like, no, no, I'm getting there. Jesus Christ. That's like trying to explain a movie to someone. They're like, yeah, did they die? I'm like, hey, fucking calm down. You think I'm gonna get there. So yeah, not having that like feedback, it felt very unnerving. Just to say, grilled cheese burrito? Is this thing a grilled cheese burrito? And then them having said saying nothing, that it is very weird. I don't know if you've ever experienced it. It's probably hard to imagine, but like actually living it felt fucking creepy. Cause then what are they? They're just at the monitor being like just waiting for me to say the next thing. Just felt weird. Because I like that confirmation because it tells me that they got it. It's like, oh yep, got that on, and now I'm waiting for the next one. That's good communication, right? You learn that at work, or maybe you just pick that up because you're a good communicator. But it's good to give feedback. That's what I always hear at work. Yeah, once you do something, you get feedback. I remember when I was an intern back in 2016, the summer before my senior year of high school. I remember I worked in inventory, and I remember I was in charge of making sure that this person got some item from inventory. They had received it through shipping, and then apparently it came in inventory, and they asked me, hey, can you go see if we have that? So I went back to inventory, I saw it, and then I gave it to someone to give to that person. But I don't know if it reached that person, right? So later that day, I went back to where that person works, and I said, hey, by the way, just wanted to check in. Did you get that thing? And they were like, oh, yeah, I got it. And by the way, thanks so much for following up. That's a good skill. I was like, oh. And ever since then, 6 years later, I still hold on to that one little thing. I'm like, see, game recognizes game. He said I did a good job. And I was, what, 17 at the time? So I was like, oh, a compliment from an adult. I'm going to turn out to be a big deal. And then you grow up and you realize adults don't know what they're doing. And that guy probably has a lot of trouble at home. I don't know. I don't want to put that on this guy. But I'm saying there's so many things that can happen. But when you are a child, adults are infallible, right? They're gods among men. Because you're like, yeah, they've made it through this much of life. They got it. They know the rules. They can play the game. I should listen to them. Until you become one of those gods among men, and you're like, oh, God. None of them know what they're talking about. But it held a lot of weight, and it still does. I can't get rid of that feeling. Now I know adults don't know shit, but I still hold on to that accomplishment that an adult complimented me. 17's a bit old to hold on to something like that, but, you know. And I felt it. I felt the first-hand effect of feedback being so important, because when I was in that drive-thru of Taco Bell and they didn't say, yep, 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 is that it? All right, pull up to the first window, total at the first window. It was unnerving. But they still got my order, right? No, they didn't. They forgot the grilled cheese burrito. They and I was like, oh fuck, I should have I should have checked the bag. I'm like, I should have known something was up from the beginning. Because the reason they didn't give feedback is probably because they didn't hear shit. I was like, oh my God, that's why. That's not because that's how they do stuff. It's because they didn't fucking hear me. I was like, oh man. So that's on me, coach. I should have checked in. I saw that there was a problem. I felt the uncomfortableness. They call it discomfort here in the States, actually. But, yeah, I should have acted on that instinct, right? Your gut's always telling you something. And I should have listened to it. But me getting Taco Bell is probably a sign enough that I was in no mood to be listening to my gut. Because, yeah, what am I doing? Ingesting that stuff. Earlier today, I was just talking out loud to myself. I don't know. I don't know what I was talking about. But I noticed something. I don't know why it is. Maybe it's because I was talking a lot today. But I became acutely aware of my throat and like how it produces noise. So let me take you through this exercise. Let me know if this works for you. Don't do it yet. Just listen to what I'm going to tell you, and then you can do it. It's not going to work if we do it at the same time, right? So try this. Just talk for 30 seconds, And the whole time you're talking, just think about your throat. And then feel like the vibrations of your throat and understand that, oh my God, those are kind of like making words come out. I don't know if that's true anatomically, but think about that. Talk for 30 seconds. Doesn't have to be about anything. Just talk out loud. Make sure the words are coming out. Like right now, I'm not even saying anything of substance. This doesn't matter. This thing I'm saying right here, but I'm just making words come out. And this whole time I'm thinking about my throat and I can feel it like vibrating. And it is so weird. Apologies, I said I was going to let you try, so go ahead, try it. You can pause it, I'm not going to wait 30 seconds, but once you're back, sup, doesn't that feel fucking weird? Like, to feel your throat, like, make noises, it feels very weird. And I'm sure you did the thing where you're like, talking low, talking high, right? And you went through all the ranges, and you're like, oh, I wonder how that affects my throat. If you didn't do it, I'm just saying I did, so. We don't have to have the same experiences, right? I'm sure someone went to the same Taco Bell and had their order read back to them. We all have our unique, novel experiences. We don't all live the same life, do we? But yeah, let me know. Is that weird? Like, your throat? Does it feel weird? Because it felt kind of weird. It even feels weird now, like, thinking about my throat, like, making... It's just like vibrations, right? And then like words come out, and then we assign meaning to the word. This is stupid. That's one of those, like, fake deep conversations. Like, you ever see that online? Sometimes I see women talk about this, how they're like, oh yeah, I go on a date with like these dudes that are like, I don't like small talk. Like, I like to talk about deep shit. And then they're like, okay, now then what do you want to talk about? And they're like, oh, I don't know. But this feels like something a fake deep dude would say. Isn't it crazy how vibrations make words come out? Makes you wonder. Wonder what? What questions do you have now? But that's the thing. I don't have any questions. I just think it's a funny exercise. Like, oh, you do this thing and now your body feels a certain way. It's more recreation. I don't care about deep thoughts. So let me know. Do you think celebrities actually listen when paparazzi and like press at red carpet events are like, over here, one more. Who's a celebrity? I'm blanking now. Who's a fucking celebrity? There's so many to pick from, and I'm having trouble here. This shouldn't be this hard. I'm just like really, because this could be really funny depending on who I pick. If I pick the wrong person, it's just nothing. But now I've like kind of, this has gone on too long to where now no matter what I say, this won't be funny. I don't even know if I'll say a name now. Because the bit's dead. Like, it would have been funny if I said the thing like a few seconds ago. We're coming up on a minute maybe here. But I didn't pick a name, and now we're in this weird like purgatory of not a bit, but not serious either. So what is this? Where are we? Pitbull, another one. I don't know. Would Pitbull ever go to a red carpet? Does he do that? No. You think Moses parted the Red Sea and then Pitbull parted the red carpet because he's Mr. Worldwide? That doesn't even, I don't know what that means. But yeah, do you think Pitbull, right? Let's go Beyonce. I don't know. I don't like any of this. This sucks. Beyonce, B, right here, over here, one more. Do you think she even hears that? Because she's getting all those like flashes. She probably can't hear anything, right? Even though when you take away one person, like one of their senses, the other ones get better. So she's being blinded. Maybe she can hear better. Maybe that's why they say it. Because they're like, over here. And she's like, I can hear it. And then she uses echolocation to be like, that person's calling me. I don't know. I was just watching a clip. I don't know who the celebrity was, but they kept like calling out to them, over here. Wait, one more. We got to get you here. I'm like, what are you a part of? The fucking grocery store magazine that we see right there? Actually, that's the thing. Grocery store magazines are never good. They're about like the latest divorced couple, right? Like in the early 2000s, it's like, oh, Ben Affleck and J-Lo, right? And then in like the 2010s or whatever, it was probably like, oh, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie or whatever. Or Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston, right? And now in the 2020s, they're like Ben Affleck and J-Lo. That they like to keep the magazines for that. But social media, that's where you get the red carpet pics. That's where you really get them popping off. Getty images. We love those. And the celebrities always look good in them, right? And I'm like, is that because the people are like, well, over here, one more, one more? I don't think they're doing anything. They're like you ever move stuff? Like if you're moving a couch, the person saying over here, they're the person in the middle of the couch, not even like holding anything. Their hands are just there. They might as well be sitting on the goddamn couch. They're making things harder. It's like, shut up. Contributing to noise pollution, all right? Do you think if a human heart was wrapped in a box, like those shaped watermelons? You ever see cube or square watermelons from Japan? Apparently, I think that's where they're most common. You know how they put a watermelon in like a cube frame, and then when the watermelon grows, it grows in that shape. Do you think we could do this same thing to a human heart? Because human hearts, they're shaped like this, right? Or like whatever the fuck. I can't make it look good on camera. And that was right. That was right. Fuck, I got it right at the last. This, right? A heart looks like that. There we go. Do you think if we wrapped a human baby's heart in like a metal cage, they look like one of the hearts we draw, that it would grow to look like an actual heart, and then we wouldn't be lying when we say like, the heart emoji? Because that's what a human heart would actually look like. Do you think that's possible? My coworkers looked at me weird when I asked that at lunch, but I think it could really bridge the gap, right? Because right now it's not anatomically correct, and that's what emojis need to be. They need to be anatomically correct. So I think we should do it. We should experiment. And of course, my coworkers were like, "Well, is the heart's connected to stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, you put little like holes, right, where the arteries and shit come out. Yeah, you'll put tubes and stuff there. Yeah. But the whole heart, that'll be encased in a, Let me know for all my doctors out there listening. We have a very highbrow audience. I don't know if you guys know that. YouTube does tell me that. They tell me the IQ of my listeners, and guys, we're doing good. I don't know what the highest IQ you can have is, but they say the average one is 37 for this audience. It's probably high, right? If it's out of a scale of 50, that's how I read it. I think. I'm still learning how to read. I'm like taking this 10-week course on how to read, so it's going well. But speaking of fruit, I opened a banana the other day, and I was sitting in the sun. What a life to live, right? And the banana, it wasn't, I don't know, okay. What does a ripe banana mean? Is that when it's more brown, or is that when it's like green? Green means it's like gonna get ripe, right? It's ripening. So let's assume that that's correct. See, that's another thing where it's like, I'll learn what that means one day. I'm not gonna look it up now. I'm getting by without it. I don't need to put that in here. There's that Uber commercial. I talked about this. The Uber Eats commercial. I talked about this a few weeks ago, where like, if you remember something, you have to get rid of something. And then Jelly Roll like eats a whole corn on the cob or something. I don't know. And then Jennifer Aniston, mention number 2 on the podcast. Jennifer Aniston forgets that she played Rachel in Friends. So yeah, I don't need to put stuff up there. Like, what does ripening mean? That should be common sense, right, Garb? No, it shouldn't. Because of the way I was raised. Nurture versus nature, okay? I wasn't nurtured the right way. That's why I don't know what a ripened banana means. Like if you say draw a ripened banana, I don't know what color markers I'm going for. But let's say a banana is just coming out of being green, right? It's like mostly yellow, but there's a little bit of green. That's also, I think, my favorite texture of a banana. Just eating a banana alone. That firm banana, nothing better than it. But I opened that in the sun and it was sparkly. And I don't have I don't have a lot of samples, right? Yeah, I heard to get a better claim you need a higher sample size. I only did the one banana, but That's also why I can say 100% of the bananas that I've eaten in the sun that were just coming out of being ripened or on their way to being ripened, they're sparkly. And I wonder for all my banana eaters out there, which is probably a lot of you, because like I said, a lot of doctors and intellects watch these episodes naturally. Uh, are bananas sparkly? And then I tried to take a picture of the banana, and it wasn't sparkly in the camera. So I'm like, what the fuck? Are bananas vampires? Because why is it glittery, but then it's not showing up in photos? But then if it was a vampire, the whole banana would be gone, right? I don't know. So yeah, can you vouch for me? Do you know if bananas are like sparkly or like do they glisten? I don't know. Something I'm wondering about, but I'm not going to look it up. I've talked about this many a time. People with podcasts are not supposed to look stuff up. They're supposed to ask questions out loud and then let other people do it. I'm really a thought leader, right? I ask the important questions and I have no care for the answers. As far as I'm concerned, there are no answers, but I'm the guy that's asking all the right questions. I was thinking about this the other day. I've talked about this before also on this podcast, but picking a song, you can associate songs with like memories, right? And so if you're listening to a song when you're doing something or on your way to something, it kind of gets associated with that song. Like I talked about how there's certain songs I won't listen to if I'm driving to or from work because I don't want to associate them with work. Because then I'll think about work when I hear that song. Because I'll think about like, oh yeah, I listened to this on the commute. And I'm like, oh shit, now it's ruined. And that's why I talked about, I listen to like grocery store type music, right? All the like top 50 hits that you would hear on the radio, because that's fine. But all those deep cut indie songs I listen to, which is all of them, I only listen to underground artists you wouldn't know the name of. But because they're so bespoke, so unique, so hand selected by yours truly. That's right. I'm also a flavor leader. I'm a thought leader and a flavor leader. I'm a taste tester. When it comes to culture, I got a finger on the pulse. I wish my name was the Pulse. What the fuck? But I don't listen to those songs unless it's like a good time, right? Like if I'm baking at home or just listening to music. Or if I'm driving somewhere, like driving somewhere to have some fun, then I'll listen to like my fun songs. But there are some songs I reserve for like, this is business, right? I think months ago, the example I gave was like Miley Cyrus Flowers. I like that song. And that's one I'm okay burning on the way to work. Because I'm like, yeah, I'll probably hear this at like fucking Walmart or something, right? They're definitely going to be playing this at Best Buy. Sorry, Circuit City. I said I was a Circuit City guy. Circuit City stand till they die. Well, they're dead, Garv, so move on. Oh, my bad. But then I was thinking about this more. See, this idea keeps growing. This idea of associating a song with a good thing and then not, purposely not listening to certain songs when you know that there's something that's, more lukewarm. Like, work isn't bad, but it's not fun. You know what I'm saying? So then I got thinking, wait a minute. What if you know you're going to an unpleasant situation, right? Like, what if you're going to see someone that, oh, fuck, I really don't want to see this person, right? Let's say it's a party where you only know one person there and you know that, like, a bunch of people that are going to be there, you don't really fuck with. So you're like, I'm really dreading this. I'm going for this one person, but I really hope I don't have conversations with these few people, right? Like, it'd be better if we just kind of don't talk, right? Then you'd be kind of nervous going into that. And I could see an argument, right? Where you're like, well, listen to your good songs. You need something to hype you up. But then what if things go bad? Then I'll think about those songs I listened to on the way there. I would remember that. I'd be like, oh, fuck. I remember hearing this song when I drove to this place and then I talked to those people. It's all connected to me. It's not isolated. To me, that the drive there, the experience and the drive back is all connected. So any songs I listen to on the drive there and the drive back, they get looped in with that experience. So you got to be very selective. And then, of course, the dark example is like a funeral. What music are you listening to on the way to a funeral? You kind of have to write those songs off now. You can never listen to those songs for fun because you'll always remember that funeral. And I was like, yeah, so what songs would you pick? I know it would be, a product of the times, like what is even popular then. You might listen to that. But I remember, yeah, this is years ago, but I remember there's this, what is it, Hollywood's Bleeding by Post Malone. I really like that album. It's a good album. But I associate it with like one of my friends' like parents passing because like the same time I was like really listening to that song nonstop was also when my friend's like parent had passed away. And so whenever I listen to any song off that album, I enjoy it. But my first thought is always my friend and their parent. And I'm like, damn. So I enjoy the music, but there's always this like somber undertone to it, which is like it doesn't ruin it, but it's inextricably linked to it. And I wonder, are people so conscious about that when they know that the thing they're going to is bad? Like I didn't know that those few months that happened, I didn't know that was going to happen. So I was just listening to the album already, and then this happened, and then, you know, the link happened. But when you have control of the bad experience, you know that you're going to have a bad experience coming up. Do you consciously pick different music, or what do you do? Luckily, I haven't had something like that recently, so I haven't had to discover this for myself, but I did start to think about it into how do people navigate that? Because when you go to a nice thing, you can listen to any music really. And that's also another way I think to repair and like rewrite certain songs. Like there are a lot of songs right now that I don't think I can listen to because I associate them with like things that I don't really want to tap into right now. But slowly I can start listening to those songs more and more when I know that something good is about to happen so that I can rewrite those, right? It's like the same thing with a place. Like if you went to a place that you were really traumatized in, if you go there with like people you love and you have good experiences, well, now you've rewritten the place. And that's nice. And I think music and like physical locations, they share that kind of thing where it's like whatever happened there. And maybe this isn't relatable, but this is what happens to me. But like certain places, I associate like certain memories with. Like when I talked about Davis, I'm like, oh yeah, there were like streets downtown that I walked through. I would just like walk past a place. I'm like, oh fuck, this is when I was talking to this person. Or like, oh, that store, this person used to work there. So like 2 years ago, I could walk in there and be like, yo, what's up? Right? Person. But now when I went to Davis most recently, all those people are gone and, I'm now rewriting those things. It's different memories. But I still have those past ones. I like the past ones. But it feels very weird. So yeah. Do you do that? And are your bananas glittery in the sun? Let me know. There's so many good questions this episode. I really need them answered. Can you help me out? Can you do a palace solid? I go on social media, I try not to go too much, but when you go on social media, there's something that happens that I notice. I think it's really funny. It's not funny, but it is. Whenever you see a verified person's post, it's usually like a famous person, their comments oftentimes have other verified people commenting. And let's say they have like hundreds of comments, right? Even if they have like tens of comments, usually the poster, OP, if we're talking in Reddit terms, am I right? They'll only respond to the other verified people. And it feels so funny to me because there's all these other normal people, right? We'll put them in quotes, that are commenting the same exact shit. But the person doesn't acknowledge them. But then they do acknowledge the other verified people. And that makes it feel like, you're like watching the cool people talk in front of you and they're just like ignoring the shit out of you. You feel like that friend in a friend group where you're like, yeah, guys, right? And they just never look at you. There's a circle of 3 people and you're somehow still standing outside of it. It would be so perfect as like 4. And yet you're still like on the outside, like trying to kind of shoulder your way in. And And that's what sometimes social media feels like when you see a verified person post and then all the top comments are blue badged people, you know? And they all have the little heart that says liked by author or whatever on Instagram, I think it says. And then they respond to them. And that must feel kind of fucked up, right? If you're like a friend of a verified person and you comment on their post, but they don't really fucking see it because they only see the other blue badge people. And then you hang out with that verified person and you're like, oh, yeah, I saw your post. And they're like, oh, did you? Like, I didn't see you comment on it. And you're like, no, I did. I don't have the clout to have like a known presence. So you probably just like glossed over me. And you're like, yeah, what was your name again? And it's like, hey, are we friends, by the way? It's like, what the fuck is going on here? Man. So yeah, I feel like I don't like using this word because I feel like a lot of people use it, but it feels so dystopian. People always say that. But it feels very dystopian sometimes looking at like Instagram comments because it just feels like the most popular people just interacting with each other. And then it's all these like, again, normal people that are just like observers. They're spectators to like other more valuable social interactions somehow. And it feels fucking weird. But it always makes me laugh because it seems so deliberate. Because sometimes, like I said, there's usually hundreds of comments, but if there's like tens, or maybe like it's someone that just happened upon a blue badge and they have like 15 comments, it seems like such a deliberate choice for them to just respond to like those two people. And what's even funnier is that sometimes those like blue badges, they're not even following them. Like they're not even friends, but they're like, oh, I got another verified person to comment on here. I'm going to like respond to them in hopes that we can like, you know, be at this level together. There's probably like many movies made about this concept, like kind of, right? Isn't is it Superbad? Yeah, Superbad is kind of like this, right? If you think about it, like Jonah Hill's character is just trying to get Emma or Emily Stone's attention, and then he kind of disregards his other friends, and they're like, "Hey, yo, what the fuck?" And then also, isn't that kind of like I haven't watched it, but I've never seen a second of like the original Mean Girls, but the recent Mean Girls. You know, when I went to Mexico earlier this year, I went on a cruise, and they have movie nights sometimes on this cruise, and one of the movies was like the new Mean Girls, and it was with like Renee Rapp and like Meg The Stallion's like the soundtrack. She does a lot of the songs I think for that movie. I was watching some of that, and that's what happened in that movie too, right? The mean girl, like the main character who's like nice to start, she kind of like grows out of her friends. They kind of stop fucking with her because she starts acting all different. That's what social media feels like. Like I've said, there's so many like art and media representations of this idea. It's just funny to see it in the most modern context, which is the Instagram comments section. And speaking of the comments section, make sure you leave comments on this video because we got to get engagement up, up, up because we need this shown all across YouTube. That way, other verified people will start commenting on this and I'll only pay attention to them. And I'm going to forget all of you. No, I appreciate your support so much. I hope you know that. And I'm asking for it once again in these trying times. I ask for you to support me in this race to get more people to listen to me talk about sparkly bananas for tens of minutes. And I think that's probably good enough for now. So make sure you like this video. Always make sure to do that. Comment on it. And I will talk to you next week. Okay? Bye.